Hello there everybody, and welcome back to another top 10 list from SCPReadings. I'm your reader Gmodon, and these are, in my personal opinion, the top 10 scariest SCPs. Please note that this list is heavily opinionated, and that there may be some scarier SCPs out there, but I simply may not have discovered them yet. Some of these SCPs are not particularly deadly, but they hold certain elements of terror and horror that put them onto this list. SCP-035 appears as a white porcelain comedy mask, changing in intervals to a tragedy mask, in which all previous visual records of this SCP will change to match its current state. At all times, a highly corrosive and degenerative viscous liquid constantly seeps from the eye and mouth holes of the mask, anything coming into contact with the liquid beginning to slowly decay until it's nothing more than a pool of the toxic substance. In addition to this liquid, the mask holds a mimetic effect of causing any subject within a 1.5 to 2 meter radius of it to have the urge to put the mask on. Once the mask is on the subject, SCP-035 essentially takes over the quickly decaying subject, seeming to have some form of high cognitive ability. Despite being quite charming and intelligent when being worn, the mask tends to take on a highly manipulative nature, capable of forcing sudden changes to other psychological state, prompting some to commit suicide and even cause harm to others. SCP-2059 is a large mass of flesh, organs, bones, and various tissues that include several aquatic creatures, a multitude of livestock and insects, and even dozens of human bodies. Any living creature touching the mass of flesh will immediately be absorbed into its mass. However, skin, hair, and nails are all discarded. The large mass of flesh tends to be aggressive towards organisms, whether it be human or animal, and will attempt to either kill or assimilate them on sight. Several of its vital organs appear to be unused, and on an unknown date in the early 2000s, the SCP allowed one of the many humans it had absorbed to speak, referring to this SCP as a child, seemingly not of this world, that does not know how to use all of the extra organs it has within its mass. As of today, it is unknown where this SCP has come from, and what will come of it. SCP-432 is a simple two-door steel storage cabinet, the exterior painted in a matte green that has succumbed to corrosion and light scratching, indicating it has been left exposed to the elements for long periods of time. What is most remarkable about this cabinet is within its doors lie a large labyrinth complex, comprised of uncharted series of corridors that change each time the doors are closed and reopened. Along the walls of the steel interior are regular household light bulbs, secured to the walls at irregular intervals, and many seem in a state of disarray and even broken. Most notably about the interior, however, is what can be found within. Several reports have indicated there to be a large predatory creature of unknown genus lurking within the labyrinth, causing many failed expeditions and many deaths of exploring subjects. Communications via wireless devices seems to fail once a subject travels too far into the labyrinth, making it nearly impossible to properly map out the largely unknown territory within this SCP. SCP-342 can take the form of a mass transit ticket for the closest form of mass transportation relative to its current location. When a sentient person is in possession of the ticket, it will eventually transform into a transit ticket for a form of transportation the holder would most desire to use. When used to board a particular vehicle that corresponds to the ticket, the subject cannot exit the vehicle by any means. Once the vehicle ends its route and comes to a complete stop, the user will disappear completely from this reality. Before this occurs, users report a feeling of dread prior to boarding the vehicle, the feeling only increasing during the course of the journey, culminating into complete panic and terror shortly before disappearance. SCP-122 is a simple child's nightlight designed in the style of a shooting star. When it's in an unpowered state, the nightlight will cause all subjects within a 500-meter radius of its location to enter into an REM sleep. They will move into a comatose state in which they will remain until the nightlight is resupplied with power. While comatose, dark humanoid figures composed of slightly translucent mass will appear from many shadows around the subject. These figures do show signs of sapience and sentience, in addition to physical abilities that allow them to gather all sleep aids within the area of effect and apply them to the subjects. Some of the items have included insomnia medication, other sleep medication, pillows, blankets, mattresses, bed frames, and even lullabies. If powered on, it will affect all sleeping patterns of subjects within its radius, and can even cause psychological disturbances if any subject awakens while within its radius at this time. After a particular incident where 11 of these figures escaped, multiple deaths occurred, making this SCP even more dangerous and deadly than before. SCP-513 is an unremarkable rusty cowbell. However, its anomalous properties begin anytime it creates any noise. Immediately, a strong anxiety is created in all sentient beings that are around to hear the bell, victims claiming that they feel as though they are being watched by an unseen entity. Nearly an hour after exposure, those victims begin to catch glimpses of an unknown figure when opening doors, walking past mirrors, and turning their heads. The figure is usually described as a tall, thin humanoid with unsettling large hands. Sightings of this figure occur every 14 to 237 minutes, the stalking behavior inevitably causing sleep deprivation. Those who do end up falling asleep claim they are physically attacked by it, but upon awakening, the figure flees. Eventually, the victims succumb to severe paranoia, aggression, hypervigilance, and depression. All test cases but one have ended with the test subject's suicide. You've seen it, now he can hear you. You've touched it, now he can see you. Never ring it. If you hear it, he can touch you. SCP-303 is described as a nude, sexless, thin humanoid figure with reddish-brown skin. Instead of normal facial features, its head is dominated by an extremely large mouth and oversized human teeth. It continually vocalizes a heavy wheezing sound, which can be heard from the other side of most solid doors. Periodically, this creature will materialize behind any closed door, hatch, or other entryway barrier opposite a sentient observer, chosen seemingly at random. It will remain behind the door, just barely within view, causing those on the other side to experience intense paralyzing fear that lasts until it dematerializes, either on its own or to avoid being directly seen by any other observer. SCP-1471 is a free app for mobile devices named Mailo version 1.0.0, having no listed developer and has somehow passed the application approval process to go directly to distribution. After the app is installed, there will be no icons or shortcuts. It will simply begin to send the individual images through text messaging every 3 to 6 hours. Each image will have a large humanoid figure with a canid-like skull and black hair, either in the background or foreground of the image. For the first 24 hours, the pictures will be taken at locations commonly visited by the individual. However, after 48 hours, the mobile device will begin to receive pictures of places the subject has recently visited. Then after 72 hours, pictures of the individual in real time with the creature appearing within close proximity will begin to be sent. Those with more than 90 hours of exposure will begin to briefly see this figure out of their peripheral vision. The longer this occurs, the more prominent the visions of the figure will become. The only known cure for this effect is to remove the individual's visual exposure to these images prior to 90 hours after installation. SCP-087 is a dark platform staircase, the design of the stairs limiting visual range to approximately 1.5 flights. Any light source that is brought into the flight of stairs cannot be brighter than 75 watts. Any higher in the area seems to absorb the excess light. Subjects report that there is a sound of a distressed voice of a child, the source approximately 200 meters below the initial platform. However, any attempts to descend the staircase have failed to bring subjects closer to the source. The depth of descent has proved to be far beyond both the possible structure of the building and geological surroundings. In each exploration, an entity which appears as a face with no visible pupils, nostrils, or mouth has been sighted. The nature of the entity is entirely unclear, but it has been determined that it is not the source of the pleading. Subjects exhibit feelings of intense paranoia and fear when faced with the entity. As of today, it is unknown whether there is an end to the stairs. SCP-106 appears to be an elderly humanoid with a general appearance of advanced decomposition. The rotting quality varies, but seems to remain in some capacity in each appearance. This SCP is not particularly agile, even remaining motionless for days at a time as if waiting for prey. But the organism is capable of scaling any vertical surface, even remaining suspended upside down indefinitely. When attacking, the SCP will attempt to incapacitate its prey by damaging major organs, muscle groups, or tendons, then pull them into its pocket dimension. Any physical contact to any solid matter the SCP makes causes a corrosion effect, engaging a physical breakdown in material several seconds after contact. A combination of rusting, rotting, and cracking of materials and the creation of a black mucus-like substance similar to the material coating the SCP occur in effect. It seems to be a sort of pre-digestion, continuing for 6 hours after contact. The SCP is capable of passing through solid matter, able to vanish inside solid matter and entering into its form of pocket dimension. This SCP seems to be able to exit this dimension from any point connected to the initial entry point. It is unknown if this is the point of origin for the SCP or simply a layer created by it. So that has been the top 10 scariest SCPs. If you enjoyed this list, please be sure to give it a like and even leave a comment suggesting what kind of top 10 list should be next. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.